Today we're going to be finishing up the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 49 ended with Jacob dying, and Genesis chapter 50 begins in verse 1. Then Joseph fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And then Jacob was embalmed there in Egypt. And it is very interesting, at the end of verse 3 it says, and the Egyptians wept for him 70 days. And so the Egyptians join in this weeping with Jacob's family. And then Joseph goes to Pharaoh and he says, I've made a promise to my father to carry his body back to Canaan to bury him there. He says, can I go do that? And Pharaoh allows him to go. And then in verses 15 through 21, we have this interesting story where Joseph's brothers come to him. And they say in beginning of verse 16, your father gave this command before he died. Say to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, because they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of the God of your father. And Joseph wept when they spoke to him. They seemed concerned that now that Jacob was dead, Joseph would enact vengeance for what they had done. But Joseph says, am I in the place of God? And the book ends with Joseph's death. He dies at the age of 110, and then he makes the same request that Jacob did, that his body be taken back to Canaan. Guys, what do you all see here?
I guess I want to look at the end of verse 17. After his brothers make this statement, or they conclude this, what if Joseph bears a grudge against us? We're told that Joseph weeps when they spoke to him. I suppose he could have wept because, of their transparency, their honesty. But it seems more likely that Joseph wept because after all of his efforts to try to restore this relationship, they still had doubts. For the last 17 years, he has been taking care of his family. And yet at the death of their father, they impugned motives to Joseph, and so he weeps. And I guess as I think about that, I just want to offer a suggestion to us. The pain we can cause other people when we unjustly distrust someone, when we impugn motives to their actions. And just think about it from our perspective, the harm that we can cause people, the pain and the anguish. It just simply says that Joseph wept. Mark?
I want to look at verse 20. When the brothers come, Joseph says this to them. Actually, verse 19, Joseph said this to them, do not fear, for am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant it for evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring about that many people should be kept alive as they are today. We only see what's going on around us, and we don't have the ability to see the larger picture that God is working out. But through this, what appeared to be bad, actually God was accomplishing something good. I'm reminded of what Paul said in Romans chapter 8, all things work together for good for those who love God. God is working in our lives to accomplish his purpose. And sometimes, even when something seems bad and we can't see any way in which something good can come out of it, like when you're sitting in prison and someone said they would help you and they forget about you, God still is working. And I find that incredibly comforting, because sometimes it seems like the world is just falling apart around us. God can still and is still working his good. And I find that very encouraging.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for spending time in the book of Genesis with us. I believe tomorrow we're going to begin in the Gospel of John, and we hope that you'll join us for that as well. If you have any comments on this chapter here in Genesis, or the book of Genesis as a whole, go ahead and jot those down in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you all have a great day, and God bless.